frothing at the mouth, lying all the while. The less things change, the more they stay the same. Welcome to the undeniably strange world of the Hungarian opposition. The Hungarian opposition, well, the Leftwaffe part of it at least, is made up of some very odd people. Some very odd people indeed. When he jumped from the socialist ship, having hauled it, Fleto Gyurcsány's desire was to create a party in his own image. He did, as we all know, create a new party. Take a look at the cream of the crop of Fleto's party, however, and you can't help but think that he had something else in mind. Surely. Would you willingly surround yourself with a bunch of nutters like those? Of course not. You'd have to be clinically insane to think that you could find a diamond in that rough. Well, if the shoe fits. Anyway, it's time to focus on one of the leading lights of Fleto's gang of misfits. Tear your eyes away from the bizarre Agnes Vodai. Try to ignore the fact that she seems to be Fleto's favourite, something that is obviously his own personal business. As Shakespeare once wrote, love is blind and lovers cannot see the pretty follies that themselves commit. Well, yes, young love. Well, perhaps not young. Either way, Fleto'd better hope that people don't figure out what's going on. Two people in particular should be kept in the dark. Fleto's husband, Klárica, and of course, his former paramour, Csaba Molnár, seen here getting the evil eye from Ági before she engineered his relocation to Brussels. But no, put Gyurcsány's current honey pie from your mind and concentrate on someone who takes the reinterpretation of recognized facts to a new, surreal level. Laszlo Varjú, seen here, as befits a politician of the left, shaking hands with the latest in a long line of Jobbik anti-Semites, Laszlo Bíró. Of course, now that Jobbik have been accepted into the fold by the Leftwaffe, anti-Semites like Bíró are free to make any number of offensive statements as long as they then issue a cursory mea culpa on Facebook. Varjú may not yet be King Confusion. That crown still sits firmly wedged on Fleto's bonds. But Varjú must surely be considered a challenger to the crown. The Prince of Puzzlement, perhaps. Varjú is a past master at talking shite. But he reached a new level of folly of late when he decided that he'd turn the tables on the government. Having urged people to not have themselves vaccinated, having derided the life-saving vaccines that the Hungarian government succeeded in purchasing from the Chinese and the Russians, DK have now embarked on a frantic campaign to deny that which they did and are still doing. DK led the charge against life-saving vaccines from the East. These former lackeys to the Soviet Union now recognize that the nearest thing to the Soviet Union, both in terms of size and dedication to centrally based decision-making, is the EU behemoth, and have switched their loyalties accordingly. So, Fleto, the man who fawned upon Putin and sucked up to China, now sees evil in anything coming from either Russia or China, and Varjú listens to his master's voice. Varju's attempt to turn the tables was, of course, laughable in the extreme. Having finally realized that urging people to not even try to prevent their own serious illness and potential death is the cul-de-sac to end all cul-de-sacs, DK had to try and move the focus from their politics of death. So Varjú went on TV to explain what their new line was. The DK have now decided that the government is anti-vaccination. The same government which broke ranks and independently bought Chinese and Russian vaccines when the EU revealed its ineptitude for organising anything at all. This is the government which went out of its way to ensure that we, irrespective of what is happening in Western Europe, have sufficient vaccines to save as many lives as is humanly possible. Varjú spouted bollocks in the TV studio. Nonsensical bollocks that would damage my intelligence if I tried to make sense of the crack-brained gobbledygook that fell out of his babbling mouth. The nail in the coffin of Varjú and DK's uninhibited stupidity is the fact that the interviewer, inviting Varyu to explain how a government which has done nothing but repeatedly entreat the population to have itself vaccinated can be considered anti-vaccination. And she cannot suppress a sigh of disbelief.
DK szerint oltás ellenes a kormány. Miből?
That, more than anything, sums up the level of Varyu's thoughts. Varyu affected to not notice, but everyone else did. And all the world sighs when Varyu starts to elucidate. Any doctor worth their salt would recommend professional treatment for mental illness. Let's hope DK get the psychiatric care they so desperately need.